Have you ever gotten some news that was just amazing? Like maybe you were trying to get, you and your wife or your husband were trying to get pregnant and you find out you are, or you got into your favorite college or something else and it just breaks through your day. And that's what joy can do, especially the joy surrounding Christmas. I remember a time, a number of years ago, it was probably a little over 15 years ago, almost 16 years ago now, that my wife Heather was pregnant with our daughter Grace. And a couple that we were really good friends with also were about to have a baby around the same time. And we were really excited throughout that time and going to have children, both, to be the same age. And except we found out that our good friends, that baby was in a lot of trouble. Her heart rate was way too fast, and the doctors just couldn't figure out how to slow that heart rate down. And then we prayed and we visited and we were just pleading with God, and it just didn't look really good. And maybe even the thought of our friend having to give birth to a stillbirth. And I think it hit Heather and I pretty hard because we had a healthy baby, and it was just hard to navigate that. And it was a bleak time. It was a time of seeking God with all of our other friends. And then one day we got the news. And the news was the doctors figured out a procedure to try, and it worked. They were able to lower that baby's heart rate, and she was going to be okay. And she's okay to this day. In fact, good friends with our daughter. And often when I see her, I think of that time, and that time we got that really good news where hope just broke through how we were feeling. And that's how we feel about the birth of Christ, or we should. Our story for the devotional this week is the classic Linus story, the shepherds and the angels, where those shepherds were just there in the middle of the darkness, right? And all of a sudden they're visited by a choir of angels, and it breaks through into the darkness of the night. And this is one of the things that the angels said to them: "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. For unto you is born this day the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord." Do you remember the first time you just heard, and I mean heard, what we call the good news, the gospel of Jesus Christ? He wasn't just born a baby, but he was to be a man who would die for us so that we don't have to be in sin and darkness anymore. Do you remember that? I remember in college, at the University of Illinois, I was not yet a Christian. I thought I was, but I wasn't. And I remember sitting in that large arena, and there was a speaker sharing the gospel, and I really heard it. I'd heard it before, but I heard it, the good news of Christ. And I just remember coming face to face with my sin and shame, and just feeling this overwhelming sense of hope and joy, the joy of the good news, that I don't have to have that shame anymore, that sin on my record anymore. And I was able to believe in Jesus, and that joy has never left me. And that's what I want to encourage you this week, is to realize the joy of Christmas is not just the joy of a baby, but it's the joy of his perfect life and his death for us and his resurrection. It's rooted in that birth. Joy is rooted in something eternal. So whatever circumstances that right now that are bringing depression or anxiety or struggle or creating doubt in us, see, joy will always root its way through like a tree trunk. It'll just the roots will just keep on going even through your present struggle, because they're eternal. And so joy will break through because of why? That good news, the gospel of Jesus Christ.